Hello and welcome to GFW Radio. It is September 5th, 2007. It's the second day of school for a bunch of you little kids out there. For us adults, we're back at work. God damn it. And we're here to podcast. For you, because we love you.
I had no idea school was back in session. Didn't even cross my mind.
Really?
No.
Well, I got a kid. She just started 8th grade.
Baby's kid.
Yep, she aimed me at 2 o'clock and said, Dad, I had the worst day ever. That's how she started 8th grade.
Oh, no.
And I said, hey, it's 8th grade. This is by far not your worst day ever. It's going to get so much worse.
Is that what you told her?
Of course not.
Oh.
So, yeah, we're here. And we have our extra special fourth chair today. Robert Ashley is back.
Hello.
Back in the hot seat. Hi.
Actually, that's
It's
the
not very
fifth
hot.
chair.
Oh, the fifth chair.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not hot though. It's actually pretty comfy.
Is it?
Pleasant in here today.
Nice chairs.
Thank you.
Robert, everybody.
Hi, everybody else say hi.
This is Ryan Scott. Hi.
Sorry.
I had to introduce myself.
Normally you do like a Ryan, but you were on that shit. You were on point like a Vulcan's ear. Hi, this is Shawn Elliott.
Hi, this is Sean Malloy.
Hi.
Hi.
This is Jeff Green. Hi, everyone. So we've got a few things on our little agenda here today. I'm going to do a little maybe the last time, we're going to talk about BioShock. We don't want to wear out the game's welcome here, but we got a few gameplay things we wanted to talk about. Yeah, we're going to tie that into a really interesting blog post that Soren Johnson is he actually at Firaxis?
He's at Maxis now.
Oh, he's at Maxis now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He was at Firaxis. Now
Okay.
he's defected. He's working on Spore
Bastard.
now.
Formerly Maxis,
Oh,
now
right,
for
duh.
Maxis,
Duh,
making
I knew
games to
this.
play on the 6-axis.
I knew this, but he, nice. I lost my train of thought with that. We're going to talk about other stuff too. Shawn Elliott downloaded, and Mr. Ashley here downloaded Opposing Forces
No,
Front.
Bobito actually didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
You were supposed. Everyone on staff.
Oh,
was
you had the
supposed
same
to, but
trouble as me?
No, I didn't even try to download. I haven't. This is the first thing I've ever heard. I'm like, did I?
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, what the hell are you doing here then?
Trip Bobito out.
Take off that headset.
Here's why Bobito's here. 2 weeks ago, when he was last on our podcast, we were talking about hucksters. It came out of some of his tales from travels to various places in Europe and also throughout the world. Shanghai, he had some schwielers he ran into.
Yep.
That's a hot term, by the way. Schwielers.
Is that vile in some way?
It's just I don't know. I need to introduce it like Waja, and I've been seeing people use Waja. I don't claim to have invented the term, but I definitely claim to being very interested in spreading its use. And I've seen it appear, and it makes me happy.
Waja.
But anyway, back to the point. During the talk of the hucksters, Robert and I were both saying how on the train from where we live in Berkeley to San Francisco, we often run into this woman who says she's got this or that and she needs X amount of dollars for medication. Well,
I've
that
seen her
night,
too.
after we took the headsets off and left and got on the train, who opens the door at 19th Street, Oakland stop?
Oh, boy.
Right on our cart, comes right in, but her. And it was like, that was just some red. And Robert was just so confused. He was like looking around for the hidden camera or some shit.
Because that was the second time that's ever happened to me.
Oh, yeah.
But the amazing thing was the person who did give money gave like that look to everyone else in the car, like, you people are animals. And I wanted to be like, don't you know?
You've been fooled.
Yeah.
I can't stand her.
Yeah.
I feel bad.
I hope she doesn't listen to our podcast. What do you think the odds are?
Pretty good.
Yeah. So
Well, you're not getting a dime out of me, lady.
That was an important follow-up.
Well, thanks for
Is
coming
that
by
really
to
why
share.
he's here? Just for that follow-up?
Just for that.
And you
Yeah,
told a
no,
story, so what did he even
God,
need to be here for?
Get the fuck out!
Just here for moral support.
Yes.
That's cool.
We need
We
the
like
moral
that.
support.
Mhm.
We're insecure here.
I'll just cheer you on.
Awesome. And then there was some other item that I forget we were going to talk about.
I don't know. We've got
Whatever.
random stuff.
Okay.
Like we said, this is we're shipping a magazine, so we didn't have much time to prepare. But
Yes, this is the
played a few
notorious
games.
ship week that happens here every month. This
well,
is
we've got that
week.
item of controversy we might get to. We'll just have to leave it at that and see if we get there without teasing any further.
items of
And
controversy.
the heroes of the web. Let's just start off with
the
some
heroes?
heroic stuff this time.
All right, that sounds
All right.
good.
Where's the heroes? Cue the heroes of the web theme.
I didn't even
music.
practice this. Like right before I came in here, I pasted it, and I'm sorry. Now it seems like Heroes of the Web's range is very finite, and it always has to do with
Oh, is this another
sex
furry?
and characters. No, this
Okay.
one's not. But like, well, last week's was people debating whether or not one of the races of aliens in Mass Effect can have intercourse with humans. So this week on Bungie.net forums,
Uh-oh.
we have the thread: Is Master Chief a virgin? So, I don't
And
know. Most-
I
I'm
guess
going
it's a
to-
serious thread. Do I have to ask that?
It is. There are people in there that are upset. This post is so immature. I can't believe it. Which is kind of funny too, because like, why would you respond that way? You're so immature. Don't ask me that.
Gosh, I mean, I think about that all day, but I wouldn't post it on the internet.
Anyway, his sex life is private.
Yeah.
So we've got first. Duh. He was taken when he was freaking 8. I'm pretty sure an 8-year-old didn't get laid. When he was augmented and crap, his sexual organs were rendered inactive. Either that or they decreased to the amount of hormones produced. It was to make sure the Master Chief kept his mind on the business at hand. So yes, he's a virgin.
That guy's pretty adamant.
That was all covered in one of Halo 2's key cutscenes, I believe.
Then we have a response. He isn't. He and Cortana did it in the Pelican in the cockpit that was parked. And after that, Master Chief did her so hard that she turned into a computer program.
Oh my!
Because of an extreme malfunction in the Pelican's cockpit, and Master Chief armor sitting there caused an extreme chemical reaction, which turned Cortana, and Captain Keyes found out, and so then that she was turned into a comp program. She never became pregnant, and Captain Keyes kept it secret from everyone else in UNSC. How
This guy's got to be.
how
kidding.
can a badass as big as the Master Chief be a virgin? Pull your head out of your ass. Okay. Then we
Wow,
have
just turns into fan fiction.
Then we
now.
have here. Hold on. As to the part where he's been on active duty since he was 6, he has to have been on leave at least once. But in my opinion, you can't lose your virginity to a whore. So whichever way your opinion lies.
Wow!
Oh.
Wow!
Oh.
You can't lose your virginity to a whore. What? It just doesn't count.
I beg to differ.
Morals, dude.
Well, in that case, I'm still a virgin.
If you'd like to deflower Robert Ashley,
So, hold on, this goes on. No, I'm eating a gummy bear. Okay, so
That helps.
someone else wants to know. Even if he was, he's so brave. And blam! Can you imagine how big his wing dang doodle is? It's probably 15 inches.
Did someone really type wing dang doodle?
Yeah,
You're
no,
making
someone-
that shit up.
Someone
yeah, you're
responds.
making this up.
I
just
want to
to
see the
if we-
paper.
Here, look, dude, hold on.
Show me wing dang doodle. Oh,
Okay.
unbelievable.
So then the next response is, why would anyone want one that big? Not to mention all the biological alterations and enhanced growth rates probably stunted him in that area. So stop being immature about size, since that is double the average humans. Then, average is 6 to 7 inches, idiot.
Oh, no.
Don't flaunt, you fucking at me. Look it up and dig yourself out of the hole you call reality.
The thing that they don't realize.
Being any larger than 8 inches, Robert, is wasted anyway, since that is as far as you can go inside of your partner.
Okay.
I'm not done, dude. You're not the boss. Yeah, you are.
But wait, people don't realize that Master Chief's been augmented because the entire purpose of the Halo is to be a receptacle for Master Chief's massive wing dang dong.
It's a giant. It looks like a giant. I don't want to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Well, not
goodness.
a giant like whatever, but I mean like a what are those, an interuterine device, like a contraceptive.
Oh, like
Anyway,
yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
The official Bungie forums. Everybody.
So-
That is incredible.
Then the
That's
final
good.
one, though, the
Okay.
final one brings back some sense to it all, and just says, "You actually think that MC had sex on his spare time? Seriously, he had far better things to worry about, like completing missions to raise much-needed morale. sex is probably the last thing on the mind of the savior of this earth.
That's amazing. That
Shit.
and this week, Lev Grossman has a 3-page story in Time magazine about Halo 3, and it's all about how it's representing like the grown-up art form of video games.
Yeah, there's one in
really?
Entertainment
Yes.
Weekly too. So
Yeah,
I guess
Seriously?
Time
And
Warner
cover
got
a
a deal.
Wired too. That's some good PR that they got going.
It's all
for it.
over
Yeah.
the place. It's on everything.
But they use that though
yeah,
as the model
it was
of
like his thesis.
mature.
Yeah,
Halo 3.
Halo
I have.
I'd like to read
Maybe
this,
he makes
yes.
an interesting case from it, but
I can think of a
It
couple
felt
other
more
games
like-
right off the top of my head. that
it
would
felt
be
more
better.
like he was just he wanted to tell the story of how games were becoming this acceptable thing for adults who aren't freaks to do, but the only thing he could use was Halo 3 because it's the only thing that he could get 3 pages in Time magazine to cover.
Yeah.
So
Understandable.
Yeah.
so where does
Wow.
that leaves us?
I don't know where to go after that thread.
Well,
Sean/podcast
That's a-
continues later.
here's like a generic transition from that, but on the front of a wider audience playing games these days.
Yeah.
And that's shaping the way that the games themselves are made.
All right.
Jeff, you didn't get to participate in our spoiler-free zone BioShock last
I did
week.
not.
So we're going to come back to it briefly, this time in the context of people that think the game is far too easy and that it sucks because of that. Reactionaries, I think, saying that the whole game sucks because it's too
Because
easy.
it's too easy.
This is epitomized by OneUp.com screen name Pen15. So I'll just read quickly from his post. All right, let me get the voice for this guy. I'm just playing.
Gotta find it.
No, so he just says that at the moment I have a dead 360 and hope to play BioShock after Halo 3 since my console. Come on, dude. Why did I paste that? I don't care. Okay. The GameSpot review pointed out that the game basically can be beaten by anyone since there's no punishment for being killed. Essentially, when you're killed, everything you've done in the world remains the same, including the damage enemies take. Ratchet and Clank had a similar system of minimal punishment, but enemies still remain with their full health. Also, items like health respawn to give you a better chance to win. BioShock, however, went one step further and made it possible for players of any skill to win, and essentially making the difficulty choice pointless. This was a deal breaker for me. If the game has no challenge, then why am I playing? Am I the only one that plays games for challenge? Some play for story, some play for the specific genre, and some play for fun. Why? I am personally going to wait for the BioShock crew to release a patch to remove the feature. It will most likely not happen since I doubt the demand for it will be very strong since gamers nowadays don't mind that they're very easy. God of War.
Yeah, not like in his day.
So I'll probably wait until I can pick it up for $20. So, 2 questions. Am I insane for not liking a game that guarantees to be beaten?
Yes.
Yes.
Or does not present a challenge to the player? Also, what do you look for when playing a game? Story, genre, gameplay, challenge?
Fun.
Let's
Yeah,
add-
why does that read like a personal ad?
Yeah. BioShock, the whole thing is that's kind of, you can tailor it to your own skill level. Like even with all the flashing items you can turn on and off and all that other stuff. So I don't know what's preventing
It's
anyone
also just a
from,
flat lie. Like you'll just run
Well,
out of
yeah,
ammo
besides
and
that.
you won't
Right.
be able to do anything.
I don't know what's preventing
the
him
thing
from
about
reloading.
the endless Vita chamber Vita rhymes with PETA. The endless Vita chamber respawn. It eventually will not work for you. You like you said, you'll just
You'll
be
run out
out.
of shit.
You'll be
Yeah.
out of everything. I mean, have no choice at some point but to.
Yeah, if you're going to basically, you say you run out of all ammo, you're going to have an enraged Big Daddy that you're trying to finish off. Although when you respawn through the chamber, he's no longer aggressive. But you're basically going up, hitting him with your wrench once, getting killed, coming back, hitting him with your wrench again, and doing this over and over again about 20 times.
20 times.
Until
Sounds a lot more challenging.
Technically,
than
you
that.
could do that.
He thinks
Right,
that is how he would play it. And
But
he won't
how
buy
is
it
that
because of
cheating?
The
How does that make the game easy?
We're of course interested in this guy's larger case, but just to back it up 1 sec, the other
Yeah.
thing that's funny about this particular post is that the guy is going on what he read somewhere.
Right, of course.
Like
Oh,
he's
he hasn't even
but
played
just notice that he's decided, oh, this isn't the game for me. It's not a challenge. Well, like, dude, you're even in the wrong. Like, why even settle for video games? I mean, you can, for one, go back to the old shit. Play Castlevania. Play those games that were made to take your money, and so were hard because they wanted your quarters. Or go to like those little like shops in the mall where you can get like a little wood puzzle with a ball bearing in it, and you've got to roll it through some impossibly convoluted, or just get like go buy the Gordian knot and then tie that. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
you want
The
a
thing I
challenge?
don't understand with this guy and the other posts I read, like on Quarter to Three, are like, if there's a feature you don't like that you feel is like a cheat to other gamers, like the Vita Chambers, then don't fucking use it.
Yeah, just
You
reload
know,
and save.
you can just, I mean, yeah, when you die, you'll be in the chamber, but then just do a reload from your save point if you think it's cheating to just respawn with the things having the same amount of damage.
If you wanted, you could quick save every time you start what you consider to be a new level, and then just agree with yourself to reload every time you die to that point.
Exactly.
I
yeah.
did that a few times. Like anytime I got into a Big Daddy battle, or mostly Big Daddy battles were the things that tripped me up, where like I just felt like I could have done that way better.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I won, I would sometimes just reload just to like for the satisfaction of doing that.
Yeah.
Right. I find myself reloading a lot just because of ammo and Eve distribution. Like I might beat something, but I'll think I just could have been so much more efficient about that. Or I'll think of a way I could have beat the Big Daddy in using the environment in a smarter way rather than using all my own stuff, like setting up the turrets or hacking the turrets, you know, things like that. I just don't like. It's sort of mind-boggling to me that Irrational put in so many choices for the gamer that, you know, they basically said, like, we want everybody to be able to play this. Doesn't matter how casual or hardcore you are. To me, like, I don't see how you can see that as anything but, like, a totally good thing. If you're so hardcore that the easy stuff's bothering you, just ignore it.
Yeah, and going back to what you're saying about efficiency, like, I think the whole point of the way the game is designed isn't that traditional, like, you know, get through the game without getting killed idea. It's more like get through the game efficiently so that you have all the fun stuff to use.
Yeah.
Like, that's your incentive to play well, is to keep all your fun stuff and keep, you know, the options open so you can do the things you want to do. You wouldn't want to just go around, like, wasting everyone and getting killed all the time. It would just be stupid.
Right. I don't understand the argument that it's broken because of that.
Yeah.
That you could go through the game with just your wrench. I mean, yeah, you could. How fucking fun would
There's your
that be?
challenge.
Well, that gives you. It actually is pretty viable. It gives you some plasmids and gene tonics specifically for going through the whole game with your wrench. So
I mean, coming from the point of
it's
view
actually
of,
an option.
Coming from the point of view of a console gamer, to me, it's always felt similar. Like with PC games, you could just save before every little fight.
Right.
Yeah, there's like
cheat that way if
you hit
want
F6
to,
and you can
know?
save
Right.
every second. If you
And there's
want.
Yeah.
plenty of gamers who feel that is cheating, right?
I'd rather-
it's the old, you know, quick save versus checkpoint
Yeah.
argument.
I'll go
Yeah,
with
I
quick
mean,
save nowadays.
God forbid we go back to like limited continues or like the Resident Evil typewriter ribbon system.
Ugh.
Yeah.
It's like that way. We
Plenty
don't
of
need
games
that.
still use that.
Punishment.
I know.
Those we've said this before, but those are just absolutely mind-boggling to deal with when you're an adult. And
Yeah.
you know, when either your girlfriend or your wife or someone comes home and you're like, I need to turn this off. Like, I have some other stuff to do. And it's like, oh, wait, let me find a save point. I remember the last time I did that was with Namco's, what was it, Nina? It was the third-person action game with Nina
Death
from
by
Tekken.
Degrees.
Death by Degrees. And you had to find, and not only that, it wasn't that you had to get to the save point, but they were hidden. And it was a mini game to find where they were at by listening for the ping
Ew.
sound and locating them. So I was like, okay, let me just find a save point. And I'm looking. And then I'm like, shit, I'm going to die before I find this damn thing. Eventually I found it, but of course, yeah, it was like 30 minutes of work. And then that also means whenever you die, you have to go lose 30 minutes of work. But yeah.
Yeah, and that shit doesn't fly like when you have a kid or whatever.
That's why the ultimate thing is like the DS, because you just, you know, drop it shut.
Close it.
Like playing, done. You know,
Mhm.
doesn't interrupt your life.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So we exhausted BioShock for forever now. I'm still loving it.
No.
I'm definitely liking the game a lot.
One thing that we didn't bitch out because, you know, the last time we spoke about it, we wanted to talk about some of the broader, you know, and more interesting aspects of the game. But the minigame thing was annoying to me.
The hacking.
It was like, yeah, but again, there was an option. I didn't have to do it. I mean, because I used auto hacks and,
Mhm.
you know, I was able to at least like make the process less painful by the types of gene tonics and stuff that I used. But that was like annoying to me because it was like pausing the game to go play some PopCap game every however long. So I'm supposed to be all tense. I'm like, I need to hurry up and hack this because I need some help and there's a Big Daddy chasing me. It's like, go chill over there, dude. I'm going to go browse PopCap and play, what's that firecracker game? You light up the fuses.
Oh, jeez.
don't know.
Rocket
think about
Mania?
Rocket Mania.
Rocket Mania.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I
go
think
play
it
some
wore off.
Rocket
It wore
Mania.
out its welcome for me about halfway through. And then, like I said, I was blowing them all. I was just like taking my shotgun to everything. Just like I could hack this and have it shoot that other thing over there, but I'd rather just get it out of the way.
Right. That's why I stopped hacking later on if I didn't have insta hacks because I just didn't want to bother with that. It's kind of weird. That's always a difficult element in any game to throw in something without. That's basically it's going to amount to a mini game. You want some other
lock
mode of
picking.
interactivity. Yeah, lock picking I think is a good example of something that worked well with an analog stick because it's all just it's another form of feedback and it just clicks into place. And then in Splinter Cell Chaos Theory in the co-op, they had one where you're basically it's like hot wiring a car almost, and you're just connecting certain wires on a bomb or something, and it just worked because you moved the sticks together and you kind of felt where they were like, vibrating in response, and it happened really quickly. But it was like that was the way it was supposed to be. It was so quick that you didn't feel like you said, where you're hitting pause and you're going to go play a pop-out game and then come back into the action.
Plus, there probably weren't 3 cars right next to each other to hot wire in a row. Like sometimes there's 3 vending machines right there. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, I got to get this one
Exactly.
next, this one next. But again, you can just blow them up or skip them.
I felt kind of like conflicted about them because they did get annoying, but at the same time, I sort of enjoyed the fact that it was like your little hideaway from the action, from the danger, where you're possibly on the verge of getting killed, but then you jump up and hack a camera or something, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's all good.
But
I'm just playing
those
like
are
bullet
stressful
time for
too,
hacking.
though. I mean,
Yeah.
without the right stuff.
they
I
are.
mean, when they were going really quick, or if it was like it was gauged as a hard hack.
Yeah.
Those were.
And you get an
Some pain in the
overload, and then
asses,
suddenly you have
I
no
do.
health.
I do wish you had unlocked some sort of item that would just make hacking, hit X to hack always. Like,
Yeah, I
infinite
figured there would be a
auto hacks or
plasmid that
something,
was
yeah.
essentially an auto hack, but never happened.
Yeah.
maybe there is
I
one
was waiting
hidden
for it.
deep in
The same thing,
bowels
like
of
the
game.
There could
lock
be.
picking in Oblivion. I hated so.
I've made I hated
Oh
that
yeah,
too.
that was crap.
That was one I actually just put a hack in. I just
Did you?
hacked myself the ability to, so I didn't have to mess
You
with it
hacked
anymore.
the hacking.
That one was problematic for me because I never quite figured out what was going on. Like I was supposed to be listening for something, maybe.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, that's the most annoying when you're like, I really don't know. I'm just like going through here with dumb luck and brute force and not fun.
I can't remember what the system that was. I remember I used to break
know-
the picks all the time because I didn't get it, but then it finally clicked
Yeah.
for me somehow.
That had at least had an auto pick lock button right in the middle of the screen. You could
Yeah.
just have it try automatically for you, and it would roll a die. But I think it rolled the die really badly.
I think that it would have been.
Soren Johnson.
One thing I read on Quarter 3 was somebody was suggesting that with the respawning, I mean the Vita chambers and the fact that the enemies weren't that their health was not replenishing when you
Mhm.
die.
Not
I
both
felt
of them.
that might have been at least a good option. You talked about how there's options to turn things on and off throughout BioShock. I thought that would have been a good option. If you could have set the difficulty so that when you died, when you respawn at a Vita chamber, all the monsters go back up to 100% health.
Now I got to try hard mode because I'm wondering what it does to maybe alleviate that.
Yeah, it doesn't
Sounds
do,
like nothing,
it
but
doesn't
maybe
do that. I don't think.
Yeah.
So, as promised, Soren Johnson blogged 8 things that he what were they? 8 things that he detests about game design, or just 8 bad game design choices. And they tie in directly with what we're talking about here. The first one has to do with hardcore game conventions. And I don't know how much of this I should read, but so he says one of the most common pitfalls for a designer is to fear that the game is not hard enough. This fear often leads to hardcore game conventions like restrictive save systems and unlockable content that only put roadblocks in the way of the mainstream gamer who's just looking to have a good time. If you feel your game needs attention of a restrictive save system, go ahead and implement it, but only as a feature of a higher difficulty level.
Right.
So exactly what we're saying here. Then he points to the difference between Trauma Center on DS and Elite Beat Agents, and saying that how Elite Beat Agents is like the better selling game, and also just more loved game, and for that reason that it has an easy mode that's not punishing, where Trauma Center on DS, once you get to like the 4th or 5th level.
Yeah, that's totally true. There was a whole level where I just was like, screw this game.
Yeah,
in Trauma Center.
Right. I mean, BioShock could put in like an Iron Man mode, right, where all the Vita chambers are locked or just gone or something. I don't know.
Yep. So then the second one is repetitive interface tasks. And so he says that he's currently playing old school dungeon crawler. Is that Atrian or Etrian?
I think it's Atrian.
Atrian Odyssey on DS. Enough so that I can't help daydreaming about how much fun it would be to remake The Bard's Tale or Legacy of the Ancients for DS. Unfortunately, the game's interface does a terrible job enabling the player to skip over needlessly repetitive tasks. Want to sell your loot? You have to click on every single hairtail in your inventory, not once, but twice for confirmation. After a long excursion, this can lead to about 100 presses of the A button when you get back to town. A simple sell-all of item X would have been an invaluable time saver. So,
But that's
we
more
get the
an
point
old
there
school
'cause
convention. Right?
it is, but I mean, now and then you run into it a lot. I mean, it's,
Well, we were
it's
just talking
Japanese,
about
as
the
we're saying,
hacks.
too. I mean, I really think the larger, to paint with a broad brush, I really think that Japan is characterized by these things. The next example he has is another, for this case, Odyssey is a Japanese developed game. And another example inside of that is the dialogue, when you're playing a Japanese RPG and it's like, dee, 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 and
Yeah, right.
you can't, it's like you can speed it up. Eventually they had the breakthrough where they're like, maybe some people can read faster than others,
Right.
but they still haven't had the breakthrough where like, we write piece of shit dialogue and there's going to be people that don't want to read it, period.
Mhm.
They don't have that option still.
Why do you hate Japan, Sean?
I like Japan. It's a great place, but I think,
But man, their games suck.
no, I think they made, I mean,
I'm totally there with you. I mean,
every
even the option to-
country's studios make, not every country's, but all the major game development studios in various countries, regardless of country, make good games and bad games. But there are certain things, particulars about Japanese game design that have become increasingly annoying to me. I think as I've become older and have less time or have more options. I mean, it all goes back to if this Japanese RPG was the one game I got for the next 3 months, or maybe all of that month, I don't care how slow the dialogue is. I don't care how long it takes, how many times I have to repeat the same, button presses and menus. I don't care about how far the save points are. I've got all day to play it, and I'm going to get my money's worth out of that game that Grandma bought me. But now I'm sitting on 5 different games. It's like, hey, I should be playing the Hellgate beta. I want to play Opposing Fronts. I want to play this. I have all these things, and it's like, well, if a game is just going to be sitting there wasting my time with this kind of thing, it becomes more annoying to me.
Mm-hmm.
I also think, like, I always, to a certain extent, associate Japanese game design with being more about, like, controlling what it is the player is doing, sending you through the tube and having a very paced game experience where they know exactly what the player is going to be doing here, here. Whereas American game design these days tends to be more open-ended, like BioShock or Grand Theft Auto.
That's
Or
because we
what-
believe in freedom here.
But I mean, like Half-Life's a really, down the tube experience.
totally.
But that's a good one. I'm not opposed to being controlled to a certain extent, but I do think there are cultural, differences in game design and what people like to play. And Japanese games are definitely more punishing sometimes, But I like that. I'm kind of a masochist. Like I like to play racing games and take the same corners like 50,000 times.
And it's difficult,
It's tough.
too, to say, like, Japanese games or, North American games or European games or whatever, because there's so much variety. Like I said, like, when I think of... I'm not thinking of, like, Nintendo first-party games. I'm not thinking of, to some extent, even Kojima's games. I mean, he does make weird decisions, design choices, that seem at least weird, contrast with Western things. But I'm thinking more of the shovelware that comes out, because that's the thing. When most people talk about Japanese games now, you think of in your head, you're like, well, what's he talking about? Devil May Cry, Metal Gear Solid series, and Final Fantasy and stuff. But instead, thinking of the stuff that feels like the last half of EGM's review section every month, and you're like, what the hell is that?
The little anime character games.
Yeah, like all that
those-
kind of shit. You're like,
Yeah.
Those all look alike to me.
right. In the same way that they look in our review section and they see a bunch of grids and tanks and, oh, great, they got that game again. That's the same.
Well, that's different.
Yeah.
No, but that's
They
the
just
same
don't
thing.
understand.
Yeah, I mean, you always have to specify because we don't want people to think that that's all there is on PC. And then what happens is when one of those games actually is really good, then that's its own challenge of saying like, no, forget everything you assume about this kind of game. In the same way that Robert, if you end up loving one of those rad games where you touch little girls that come from Japan, and you'd have to explain to us why this one was better than the other,
I actually
Yeah.
have the most extensive collection of those types of games
including
Yeah,
of
BioShock.
anyone I know.
Well, tell that to your parole officer.
Yeah.
BioShock's my first.
Yeah, I feel like we've reviewed the same, and I like war games, but I feel like we've reviewed the same one for the last 5 years in a row. It's always like, Road to Normandy or whatever. The name is always like, didn't we just do that? Last
And it's
month
always
was-
like the really
Got
heroic stuff.
1945 in it.
Like I was just talking to Shawn outside because he's reading a book about Stalingrad and about the brutal tactics used by Russians and Germans against each other, and talking about like what it would be like if someone really made a war game where there was no heroism, no like triumphant music, but just like disgusting murderous war.
It's like Rashomon, the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Came to that conclusion after I told him about the Russian trick of teaching dogs to fetch meat from the bottom of a tank, and then after they learned that trick, then strapping them with an explosive belt and a stick that jutted up far enough so that when they saw a German tank, they'd run underneath it and the stick would get pushed back.
That ain't right.
That is evil.
Eh?
Yeah.
War's not right.
But if they did that in a Call of Duty game, it'd be all dun 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 dun.
Dude, the music in Medal of Honor Airborne is so bad, dude. It's definitely like that. I was just I feel like I'm playing Medal of Honor Airborne now because it's the same sort of thing. You're like, okay, this is supposed to be intense, crazy action, and it's like, what's up with the strings?
I don't know.
Maybe when the credits roll. And
There's been enough bad movies now that do that.
Yeah. But they always make a big point of that too. It's on the box, like sweeping orchestral score by some such symphony.
You know who did it? It was Oliver Stone. He fucked it up for everybody
He
in
started
Platoon when he put the adagio for strings in Platoon. So you get this mournful, sad violin music going over.
I
people
prefer
killing each other.
the Apocalypse Now Wagner, just total evil.
That they at least justified though that it was the helicopter crews were playing it.
Yeah,
Right.
but it was also just way more brutal.
They should just get
Wagner's
some
brutal.
speed metal in there during those scenes.
Yeah,
I like
Just so it would horrify parents even more, They'd go into their kid's room and they're like killing stuff and bodies are flying and, the music's just like the heavy Metallica.
That would
My kid is going to the devil.
that's what people are definitely listening to in tanks these days.
Yeah,
bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor.
you watch that same NPR special or whatever it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know how we got to.
I don't know. How did we get here? We were talking about Soren Johnson's
Yeah,
game.
so you
we're
should be
talking
able to
about
sell
war games,
100 things in one button press.
Right.
So
right.
he's got,
Sell all was the
it's got,
point.
more points, 6 more points on there that I haven't
Wow.
gone through.
This
with.
will take
dear.
2 more
They're all
hours.
interesting.
Okay.
No.
Read another one.
You want another one?
Read the
Yeah.
last one.
Okay, let me.
They went upon us.
Actually, I think this is probably one of the most controversial ones, so this is the one I will jump to. And this is putting story in the wrong places. So he says, I was tempted to come up with 7 things not to do and just leave off the story one as I'm not sure. Sorry, hold on. Let me start again. I forgot how to read. Look at how small it is too.
It's
okay.
it's very
I was
small.
tempted to come up with 7 things not to do and just leave off the story one as I'm sure it's my most controversial point. A bunch of people will disagree with me over the place of story in games, so let me just say up front that I know that I'm wrong. I still want to make my point, though. I don't like story in games. I don't like the boring cutscenes. I don't like the stereotyped characters. I don't like the plots that I have no control over. And sorry, BioWare, you are either God or Satan twist count 2. I especially don't like it when games stop me from fast-forwarding through crappy dialogue. I'm looking at you, Japan. So I'm looking there with him. But what I really hate is when a story gets stuck somewhere it really doesn't belong, like in a strategy game. After all, strategy games are the original games. Humans first discovered gameplay with backgammon and chess and Go. It's a noble tradition. The story in a strategy game is the game itself. Layering one onto an RTS campaign is like putting a copy of Hamlet in my pie. I mean, sure, Hamlet's a great play, but my pie would also sure taste better without it. Put another way, how much better a game would Rise of Legends have been, and it was already a great game if they'd given up on creating a story-based campaign and instead iterated on the cool Conquer the World mode from Rise of Nations. Ironically, the campaign mode was my favorite way to play ROL. I love that you could only acquire technologies and advanced units on the strategic map between missions, which helped to simplify the core RTS game. However, I enjoyed the campaign in spite of the story, not because of it. The key point here is that for the sake of chasing a story, Big Huge Games missed an opportunity to match a great core RTS with a simple overarching strategy layer that could be infinitely replayable. So, I'll leave off there because that's a lot of reading.
I agree and I disagree with him. I think, there's a lot of bad story in games because there's just like a lot of bad writers and a lot of bad storytellers.
Yeah.
And those people should not be making them.
What about, though, what about his point, though, that we feel obligated now, or that developers feel obligated to include narrative in every game, regardless of the game?
I think that they shouldn't have to feel that way. You're right. But I do think that in the hands of somebody good, like Blizzard, they can tell a cool story in the shape of a campaign, even if the gameplay, the missions themselves, don't have much to do with the story itself.
Like StarCraft and Warcraft 3 had great storylines in their campaigns, and I thought they were a compelling reason to keep playing and find out,
Okay, so you could say in the abstract, each of the maps in Warcraft 3 or StarCraft 2 is like a chessboard, right? Where it's a strategy one against the other, and you don't necessarily need a story to move these units around the map. Mm-hmm. But they're actually decent storytellers who are able to draw you in that way.
But his Rise of Legends...
I remain a skeptic, but partially because I never played the campaign modes of StarCraft or Warcraft 3. But when CNC 3 just came out, we were all sort of laughing at how stilted the whole notion of using cutscenes with full motion video and real-life actors.
Yes.
Right, but that was a weird kind of like tongue-in-cheek throwback, too. That one was kind of an anomaly.
And
I don't think any of the Command & Conquer games, even back when, FMV wasn't necessarily extraordinarily cheesy and merely cheesy, like, even those I don't recall having, like, a compelling storyline.
Okay. So that is different.
I do think, though, that story can help you, like, relate to what's going on, even in an RTS game, to give give a purpose to the things you see on the screen. Like, sometimes I have that feeling when I play a game that doesn't have any story, and I'm like, what are all these little things?
I
wish that they were more...
Very much so. Soul Calibur or Street Fighter, if you didn't know that Dawson...
No, I need those endings. I need those
toilets.
endings. That's what it's all about.
I do think that they can be irrelevant. Like, the Age of Empires games, I think, have all been outstanding every time, but the campaigns are totally unmemorable. Like, that's a company to me that however great they are, they don't really know how to tell like a good story. They keep trying, they keep telling a kind of good one, but the key to that game is, for me, is the multiplayer and the skirmish mode. Yeah. So that's a case where like they have a bunch of armies and a bunch of game mechanics that are super fun to play, but the story, But
his Rise of Legends example, like, I played that all the way through campaign, and that didn't have a memorable story either. So I think it's just more a matter of, execution versus not.
Yeah, which is what I'm saying. Like, yes, I think that there's way too much bad storytelling in games because there's just not enough talented people doing it. But if you just put it in the hands of people who can really tell a story, you'll see cool results. And I think BioShock is one of those.
I think my problem.
He's talking about strategy games specifically.
Yeah,
he's very specifically talking about.
Okay.
Well, the entry is called in places where they don't belong.
Right.
Where they don't belong, he only gives strategy games as one option. I would add, fighting games. Like, I don't really. No, I look at them in the same way. Like, I was playing. It's a good transition in Company Heroes opposing fronts.
You know what? Hold on. Street Fighter had a good story. They made a movie out of it. All right, so I think that's good storytelling.
That shit is. All right.
Sad thing is Ryan's not kidding.
A fighting game should be able to have. A fighting game should be able to have a good story because at least you're dealing with people on like a one-person level. Whereas with strategy games, the challenge is like, how do you make people associate what's happening with these few characters and this huge battlefield of thousands of disposable.
But to play Johnson's advocate, I think he would say the same thing. Do you run into the same problem if you don't anthropomorphize your checkers pieces or your Go pieces?
But look at what Warcraft did. I mean, look at World of Warcraft. To me, that's like a profound validation of Blizzard's storytelling in a strategy game.
World of Warcraft?
Yeah.
But it's not a strategy game.
No, but the entire game evolved out of a strategy game.
Yeah.
They made the most popular MMO ever, which is all about character and, well, not really, but there's this huge, gigantic storyline that you've got millions of people involved in that came from the world they created in a strategy game.
Do you read the dialogue bubbles when you're getting a quest in an MMO?
In World of Warcraft,
I read them more in WoW than I do in other games.
Oh,
but it is true.
It took a while to get there.
But it is true, to go back to your point before, that Blizzard did have to add the option so that the text in the bubble in the dialogue windows didn't scroll on.
Oh,
they had to add a thing. So
at first
they did. But
I don't think I've ever read I haven't played World of Warcraft, but in any other MMO I played, I've never read the quest as it was given to me.
Yeah,
I've only consulted it when I get stuck. What the fuck am I doing again? And then I read it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of a belated acknowledgement that, like, not everyone gives a shit about this crap. So,
hey, there's no right or wrong answer. I mean,
No, I
to
don't
get
think
back,
so.
I was, we could talking about opposing fronts, but in the context of this topic, so you guys can still chime in whenever you want. That game, the original Company Heroes, was also acknowledged as doing something right with story. I mean, I didn't say that. I didn't review it, but I noticed in our reviews and in many reviews, and it did work. I mean, you get the context. Here's the moment in time that this is supposed to be representing, and here are the forces involved and the whys and the hows and stuff. But for me, I mean, when they would switch to the cutscene afterward, and try to like establish the intensity and the characters and with some, cinematics and stuff, it really didn't do that much for me any more than like if I start the map and while the map's loading, it says, "Oh, right, here you are on, you're in Carentan and this, for this reason and that." I mean, like then when I play the game, it's all about okay, here are the and that's different too because I know without them telling me anything, I immediately recognize what this is supposed to be representing and what the units are and stuff. But just playing it like I would, like chess or something, or even a fighting game, and so
Yeah,
I guess that's why it's easy for me to sort of go along with them and say, hey, I don't think it's a deal breaker if they shipped one of those games without any story.
I agree. I don't think it's a deal breaker.
It would be better if the games that really wanted to tell a story focused on that, and the games that didn't really care just didn't bother.
don't half-ass it.
I agree.
I agree with that.
And another point I want to make in that is because since the RTS gameplay itself isn't suited to telling a story, when accepting, as you say, that Blizzard does a great job with the story, I'm assuming that that's occurring in between matches.
Yes, it is.
So
sometimes,
well, except they would have these brief moments in the middle of a fight where it might pause and zoom in, right? To like an in-game engine scene.
like when you reach a certain point, like do a certain objective, and like there's another character there at the objective you're about to fight, you'd have storyline exchanges there sometimes.
Okay,
but basically not.
Right.
Yeah.
So like my whole thing is just like getting natural. I'm all for story in games, but provided that it's a mode of storytelling that's kind of indigenous to games, and those are all examples of like taking stuff from other media, from from TV and from movies and comic books and other formats. Like the dialogue that is like very comic book like. In that example, but that's the real trick. I mean, and it's a problem that BioShock runs into too, because as I was saying before. There's no real character development in there in the present tense. I mean, it's all through the recorders.
Yes.
Anyone who's changed or in any way, shape, or form, it's occurring, through the artifacts that they've left in the environment. Everything else is just kill or be killed, and that's like another problem with that. But the way that they've
it's
solved
really kind of missed all over again. You've kind of stumbled into this world where everything's been fucked up.
Long dead world,
long dead, and you just have to sort of figure out what happened here.
And that's how Doom 3
which is
was
fine.
that way with in the same way. Fear,
System Shock too.
Picking
It's
up,
a very valid way
and
to
on
do
and
it.
on.
It's also a way to keep you moving along with the game while you're getting your story fed to you, because you can.
And it's the only way really to tell a story by telling a story through a world. It has to be a world you're unfamiliar with. So it's always going to be about plunging into this strange environment and learning about it. So far, to me, that's the best way to tell a story in a game.
And so while I totally agree with that, I just wanted to differentiate. So I appreciate the way that BioShock tells its story with its environment. You understand the history of this world by looking at the physical space you're in. But I just said character development in the classical sense of a person undergoing some sort of change in the way that they see themselves in the world and the other people that they're interacting with. But yeah, and that's what games do do wonderfully. Like Half-Life, the same way I've said, where you're in the world and just by looking around at it, you understand that what its history is contained in itself. So.
I thought that's what was so cool, to bring up a sort of random game, in Psychonauts, that someone figured out, that games are better told, the stories are better told through their environments, and then someone was like, well, what if the environment represented a character?
Yeah.
And let's explore,
that's
a very cool idea.
Good point.
Yeah.
That was some good
That was
stuff.
a good game.
A phenomenal game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was, for me, the concepts were better than the gameplay. That was it. That was the hook. It was like, okay, what's next? What am I going to find in, and like you're saying, each level is a character. what am I going to see in there? But then
Yeah, that was totally an example of the story drawing you along through an otherwise
through a world where go collect
mundane kinda
500
game.
of these, and we'll let you go on to the next area. It was based the gameplay in that was very much like who is it that makes Banjo and Kazooie rare?
Yeah.
I'm definitely not a fan of the way they do stuff.
I almost think that game needed less gameplay. Like, it would have been better as just, like, exploring these areas and having some sort of minimal amount of things that you did and having it really be be about the story.
I thought it was hard. I thought it was surprisingly hard, actually.
Yeah.
The last
some
levels
bad interface
were very
issues.
annoying.
Yeah.
The infamous meat circus.
Yeah. I only got through that because I, like, accidentally passed some point. It was some sort of glitch. Yeah.
I
warped to
accidentally
the other side.
cheated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
If only it had Vita Chambers.
I want you guys to play opposing fronts. I was trying all weekend
Yeah.
to arrange where we would have. I mean, when was the last time, like, even more than two of us in this room have played a game together? So I wanted Ryan, Sean, Jeff.
I
everyone to get
tried.
in.
I did due diligence all day. I sent you hourly updates
I know.
from noon or 11 a.m. until 1 a.m.
Bitch about the
Well,
File Planet. Why is it that?
Fucking File Planet.
I mean, you know why all the companies put their betas exclusively on there? I mean, I guess
Yeah.
through deals and stuff, but it's like,
hey,
really
File
isn't.
Planet, buy a faster server, fuckheads.
It's a pain in the ass because it's
Like
totally
a 13-hour download. How big was that file? 2 megabytes?
Yep.
God damn.
No, it's 2 gigs, but
2 gigs. Same
Yeah.
difference.
it was a pain in
Meanwhile,
the
like,
ass there
little Johnny, 14-year-old, downloaded, like, 30 albums on BitTorrent.
in that time.
Yeah.
Seriously, it was ridiculous. It took like 13 hours to download that
The
file.
other annoying thing you do there is that you know how you're like, okay, I could believe that there's a line or that there's a queue
that
for,
whole thing. Yeah.
for opposing fronts beta, but then you go on there for some random ass old shit that you know for a fact there is not another person
not
going to work
you.
beside you trying to get.
Yeah.
And suddenly there's 356 people and 30 minutes to wait.
Yeah. You're
some bullshit.
65th in line for the Daikatana patch. But hey, if you paid $5 a month, you wouldn't have to be back here and coach with the other losers.
It's so true. And it's so annoying too because it's just like it's got to be just some random number generator for that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're just, we got a sucker here trying to get the Daikatana patch. Give him the little screen here. Yeah, I wonder, too, the whole time that my 13-hour download was going. It's like, are they just, like, going, ha, over on their side? Like,
Yeah.
Like, because I made me wonder, oh, man, if I was in their fucking, like, subscriber thing, would I have been playing, like, 12 hours ago?
Probably so.
I don't know.
I'm guessing.
Some guy who got his finger on the switch for like 10 seconds. Going, la, 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 la. Okay, there you go.
You do have it, so we're going to have to play this week because it's
I
really
have it
fun
now.
so far. But the problem is online, and this goes with all RTSs, I'm guessing, unless you have a group of people to play with, the people are such, I don't know, pardon the language, they're fucking pukes.
Well, yeah, duh.
You're like,
Where have you been? Hi.
we went
The
over this when
internet.
I first got into COH, but it's like, okay, you make a game or you go into someone's game, they look at you got to wait as they look at your stats, and then you wait, and then like, okay, they either kick you because they they think you're too good, or they think you're great and they move you to the other team because they think you suck. And then you wait and wait. No one else joins. Someone else joins and comes in, and you're like, oh, great, finally, everyone ready up. And he goes, no, wait a minute. And he delays the game while he checks everyone's stats. Then he leaves. You sit there for fucking hours.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Of course, if the game actually started, all you would do would be to grief all those guys anyway.
No, I played this for real, man.
Okay.
I did a few maneuvers in COH before, but it's like, that's the deal. Sometimes you're in a joking mood. You know, that usually comes from boredom. When you play the game seriously to the point where you're like, okay, we need to like do something. We need a new wrinkle on this. And that's when you start like creating a concentration camp out of your allies' HQ by building barbed wire all around it the moment the round starts, and then building like sandbags. And then using the sandbags to spell LOL. Or I'm defending if you have time. I got D. It's all right.
So you wonder why you have trouble getting a game together.
Now I have a new name. I'm Skinfart in this. So if you're listening, add Skinfart because I'm definitely looking for people to play with. And a lot of my names, the games I make, maybe it's the names. Like at first I had weird ones like PP and the TP, and then Fupa Hunters.
You might just want to try like new one.
I did.
You know?
I did that afterwards.
Game 4-3 might work for
At
you.
first it was
you
all
gotta
like
be like Necromancer 57 or some shit. That's the only way people take you seriously.
Hitler was right is the only one in that game.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was all quiet. No, because there's always people with names like SS, this and that, and they come in and I kick them. The fuck's up with that? But no, first it was like Noob Zone or like Noobs Only, stuff like that you're like, oh, that's gonna be great. But I guess that's the code word for like Smurfs, Yeah. So then I changed it to all the like Fupa Planet and stuff. You know what a Fupa is, right?
No.
A Fupa is a fat upper area. The P is the.
We're all looking askance.
Right. Okay.
How bad is this going to be?
It's a fat upper pussy area.
Oh, there it is.
What the?
Why are people
Why did I not see that coming?
I
was going through in my mind all the possibilities for P, and that was definitely not one of them.
Right over that
OPP.
one.
What, you never heard it?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
yes.
fat upper property area.
Yeah. There we go.
But, okay. It's also Gunt is a synonym, but we used it because the tanks. The British have this awesome Churchill with a petard cannon on it, and it sounds like a foop when it launches. So we just started calling that the Fupa or the Fupinator, and then so after a while, then I was like, I just assumed the rest of the world should be like up on it. So the Fupa, that's the crocodile with the launcher on it.
Of course.
Yes. Shawn runs on his own internal logic.
You know what I'll do? I'll save the game. Well, yeah, we'll just talk around the game like this, and then once you guys have got to play it, and we can have like a legit.
So how many maps are there in
conversation
the multiplayer in the beta? The beta here.
Quite a few because I think there are only 2. Maybe there's like 8 altogether or 10, but one new one and then one of the old ones. But you could play the new armies on it. You could play the old armies and the new armies in any combination.
And can you play against the AI? Or is it just...
Yeah, you can play. That's all I've been playing because no one joined the Fupa Hunters. So I would just play... Quit laughing. That's serious business. So we would just do against the CPU, put them on hard.
Okay.
Which is kind of annoying because the CPU... The AI is just like... It's just like asshole AI. It doesn't know how to react to anything. All it does is just try to break your supply lines and just sending out random guys to like break your lines and cap stuff. And it's just annoying. Like, oh God, here comes the Capsicle again, which is the new army. The Panzer Elite is basically it's like the asshole army. If you're like, what can we do to create new armies in this game that play differently than what's there? Mm-hmm. And Panzer Elite is definitely it's like the asshole army. It's like they have these little cycles that are super quick and they're just like annoying gnats, but they cap things really quick and they get around fast between stuff. So you basically just send them out to break like I was saying, supply lines, and then you can get some powers where you booby trap something that you capture so the enemies go and they try to retake it from you, it blows up in their face and kills them. Or you can go and capture some of their territory, like say, all the logistics in the game are fuel, ammunition, and manpower. And when you cap these, you have to cap these points to keep that flowing through. But so you go and then you can destroy it, and then that means the enemies, if they want it back, they have to rebuild it before they can even recapture it.
That's
so it's just
great.
Stuff like that. Yeah, it's just total scorched earth stuff. But when you look at it at first I didn't get it because everything else just makes sense. You're like, okay, artillery, this seems great. I know all these defensive bunkers and trenches and stuff. Like I immediately understand why this is going to be useful. But then when you first play the Panzer Elite, you're like, okay, they're not, they don't have juggernaut tanks and stuff in the same capacity that the regular Wehrmacht does. What am I going to do with them? And then then it kind of clicked, and I'm like,
so the FU race.
Yeah. I don't know yet. I mean, it's so hard to say. I mean, I'm sure Relic they're having a beta because they want to see how this all balances out. Mm-hmm. But if I could find some good players from either army, that's the other thing is when people do join your game, they pick the old class. It's like, go fucking play Company Heroes, man. Why are you playing opposing fronts if you're not even going to try the new stuff?
They want to win.
And so I was trying to find really good Panzer Elite players to see what they did and then save, actually they have the replay option disabled, but I mean, at least pay attention enough to see what they were doing that was working really well. But yeah, we'll come back to that later. It's really fun. I'm liking it a lot. I'm excited to play more tonight when I go home.
So we'll come back to it.
Mm-hmm. Look for Skin Fire.
Company of Heroes was a fine game. Do we need are we done? We never even took a break.
We should take a break now.
Okay, we'll take a break.
We're almost hitting an hour here.
Okay. Yowza.
We didn't.
Okay.
Foo papa, foo papa, foo papa, foo papa.
3, 2, 1.
You're the best around.
Listen to EGM Live, the weekly podcast for Electronic Gaming Monthly, available every Monday for download at egmlive.oneup.com or podcasts.oneup.com or the iTunes Music Store.
Sweep the leg! Sweep the leg, Johnny. Sweep the leg.
If you want my fupa and you think it's greasy, come on, baby, let me know.
Yeah, fupa. I think that's going to be a hot trend now. Everyone's just going to be talking about fupa.
I hope they're not.
Gun has a rad ring to it too, but it's kind of
yeah.
Can
you guys ought to get one of those sound effects boards so you can just add little you can add
the sound to humanity.
Wacky morning DJ style.
Whoa!
Oh, what was that? Ouch! That was loud.
Okay, so this is serious business. We're
Yes,
going to
sir.
talk about TV game shows nowadays. What happened?
Are we all done with PC gaming? Is it?
I think that's the deal. No one volunteered up any topics in our little
All
break
right,
there.
this is the extra special second half in which we've just opened it up to random.
to going random.
It's
off
gaming
topic.
in general.
So
Off
you can
topic.
turn that shit off. If you probably already did the first time I said fupa. There's another one for you if you're keeping track. Drinking game out of it. So, okay, at TV game shows nowadays, I just saw some the other night, and they always piss me off because, back in the day, it used to be,
Yeah, Grandpa.
back in my day, you'd have Jeopardy or something, and they
they
have
still
all
have
these
Jeopardy.
questions, and half the time you're like, God, do I know the answer to that? I don't know about the answer to that. And all you do is you hit the button if you know the answer, and if you fucking know it, you say it, and if you don't, you shut up and you lose your points and the next person talks. Nowadays on a game show, it's the dumbest fucking questions in the world with the stupidest asshole taking like as long as he possibly can to tell you he doesn't or does know the answer. So, and that's the whole game show now. No one even, it used like Jeopardy is about the questions. Do you know them or do you not? Now it's like, you just assume that you would assume that the whole world should know regardless of education and, whatever background, they should know the answers to these asinine questions immediately. But instead, they get these fucking greasy motherfuckers to say, I'm trying to spice it up now, to be like, I don't know, let me call my cousin, see what he thinks about this. And it's not just Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Everything now, it's like, it's got some, like, you consult, you get to look in, like, the dictionary, you get to, it's like when they started letting you bring calculators into math tests.
I still can't believe they do that. That still pisses me off. When
I know what you mean about like the whole like waiting forever, and I hate the dramatic pause when someone does give the answer.
Are you
they
sure?
ask, like, how many horns does a unicorn have? And you're like, 1. And then they're like, really? 1?
No, but you have to. They don't even just say
break.
1. They go, okay, I'm thinking of 1 because uni is a prefix often, but not always means 1. But then, I don't know. I've seen, how many animals do you know that only have 1 horn? I don't know. I'm gonna poll the audience and see.
My uncle's a vet.
Okay, 75.6% of the audience say 1 horn.
That's like that. Have you seen that show? It's like 1 versus 100 or something like that, or 100.
Yeah, all those shows.
That one is like where
you're
you're playing against the whole audience, right? So they'll say, whatever. This Georgian peanut farmer became president of the United States. His name rhymes with martyr. And then they'll pull the audience and like 80% said Nixon. Fucking hell. It's going to be stupid.
And for me, it was all over with that Deal or No Deal one, where because like the question isn't even about a president. It's literally like, all right, what's a number between 1 and 64?
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, let's see. My grandmother was born in August, so it might be 8.
That
but then
show-
again,
yeah.
her father was born on the 23rd, so maybe it's a 23. Let me take the difference between them.
That show freaks me out to no end because then they'll pick the number. I talk about this with my kid all the time because she and I watch it, and she's only 13, and she watches it in like, horror for humanity, because we're sitting there, and when someone picks a number, everybody, including the models who are holding the number, will like clap for the guy. Like, good choice. Oh, yeah, 32. Yeah. Oh, yes. good one.
They're just delaying. They don't want to give that
clapping
money
for a
away.
fucking number.
They drag that up for a full hour.
Right.
They had. Did you guys see the one that's like, "Are you smarter than a third grader or something"?
With
Fifth
Jeff
grader.
Foxworthy.
That was
Fifth
basically a fifth grader.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't watch it. Apparently,
Yeah, it's all the way up to fifth.
Yeah, and it was the same thing. Instead of the idiot audience, it's like then they get the smart like kid audience. It's supposed to be grade schoolers or something. And there was a bingo night one. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Imagine playing bingo if the motherfucker that pulled the number out of the air shooter took 20 minutes to tell you what it was. You would kill that dude. You would wreck that guy so fast.
I guess. Like,
How do you feel? You
more
got
people-
B24. How does that make you feel? How would you describe your feelings?
I'm feeling positive about B24. I think B24 is a really good position.
Excellent
to be
choice.
I feel a tingle in my gut.
24.
In. Yeah. No, but I guess people. I guess the game shows are more popular when you make the questions dumber because maybe more people can answer them.
Right.
Jeopardy
was
makes you feel
alienating.
stupid. Yeah.
And the tension.
No, I watched Jeopardy.
Poindexter won. That's because all he does is sit in his room and read the encyclopedia and masturbate. I have a life.
My wife watches Jeopardy, and I cannot fucking stand it. I sit there on the
love
couch.
Jeopardy.
No, but the problem is watching it with my wife.
It's the Medal
because
of
she
Honor
knows
of
her
quiz
shit.
shows.
She always has to say the answer out loud, and she's really fast about it.
Yeah.
And so it totally ruins it for me because she's over there like answering every question.
Oh, so you're just mad because she's smarter than you.
Well, she's smarter than me, but then she'll just randomly guess things too, and that just fucks with my head.
You
And
do
she'll
that on
say it
Wheel of
out loud.
Fortune, though, dude. I caught you.
I don't watch Wheel
No,
of
you scream
Fortune,
it out, dude.
motherfucker.
And it's always the wrong thing you're screaming
I watch
out.
The Price is Right.
That's good stuff.
That's a good
Price is
show.
Right is classic.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And
That's
I got
what a game
my
show
pet neutered
should
and
be.
everything.
Right. It's
Did you
not
see-
going to be the same without Bob.
Just
though.
one big commercial. That's what every
It
game
is.
show
It's one
should
big
be.
commercial.
Yeah.
But it's a great commercial, and you get stupid people with horrible T-shirts.
That's true.
Did you see that that clip on YouTube where the guy gets to the the first round where you get to bid on the thing and you don't get to make it, and every time he bids 420.
420.
Oh.
yeah.
I
and
saw
over
that
again.
one.
Oh, dude.
That was fun. Do you remember that?
That's so funny, bro.
It was actually.
won.
I agree. It's like 420, bro. But the fact that he actually did when the stakes were that high, when he basically he stood the chance of winning something, and he was that determined to make that joke.
or that
Right.
stone.
Like that was good follow through, man.
Yeah.
Right. Also, but he
won
That
the
lives
over.
on more than the catamaran he would have won.
Exactly.
Yeah,
there you
true.
go. That's what you win, or you win some like horrific like grandfather clock,
Right.
like your grandmother wouldn't even had.
a
in her
new
house.
washer and dryer.
Yeah.
He just got to watch
The
the, models
secret
and
is
say
that you could
420.
take the cash value.
Oh, you could take the cash value always,
Mm-hmm.
but then
They
you got
didn't tell
taxed
you
on
that,
that
though.
shit.
You
too.
could?
Yeah, I didn't tell you that though.
That's always sad when you see there's like a 19-year-old kid on there. They start showing him like a new carpet and a new washing
Yeah,
machine.
in the bedroom.
Yeah, you
set.
get to see his face.
The
kinda
dude next
sag.
to him, the dude that got the first bid, has got like trip to Tahiti and a
Yeah.
a dirt bike and all this other shit. They
Or
got
the
like
80-year-old woman who just won his and her motorcycles.
arthritis walker. This arthritis walker is yours in the geriatric ward showcase.
That's the crazy thing about watching that show is if you're home watching that, the commercials, it's like, wow. I guess I'm not the actual demographic for the show because every other commercial is like those wheelchair things that they show how they go
Hover-
around and
hovercraft. Now I'm free to see the world. Hover round.
And it's all medical stuff too. All prescription medication that you're supposed to beg your doctor for. We
All
know
right.
better than your doctor.
Those are the ones that always have
Valtrex.
and then they have like 5 minutes of things at the end. Taking this medication may cause diarrhea, heart condition,
What about what's
athlete's foot. You may die.
What about Grandpa Witherspoon? Diabetes. Grandpa Witherspoon, he's always on there talking. I know who has diabetes. Diabetes. Liberty.
Oh, this podcast is.
Hey, we warned people to turn it off. So
Have you guys seen a not spelling bee, singing bee?
What is that?
It's like a karaoke, not karaoke. It's like name that tune / karaoke. So like they have an in-house band. It's kind of like generic like soul pop band, and they'll bring people up onto the audience and they'll play like the first 3 lines of a song, and then you have to like chime in with like the next line. And they pick like gregarious, singy people who will come up there and like belt it out with the microphone. So, and that's how you win your money is by knowing like the next line to whatever Saturday Night Fever.
That sounds like the third circle of hell.
Do they like have quick action replays?
I
Like
TiVo'd it.
But do they actually ask like the hard parts of the song? I mean,
some of them are ridiculous. Sometimes no.
It's all like this. Nah, nah, nah.
Na 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 na. Yeah.
Jeff Green, you win!
No, it's more like they go na 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 na. Hey. Like wow.
That's actually harder than na na na.
because most people don't really know the lyrics to songs. I mean, they might know like the choruses, but it would be pretty funny if you just totally get it wrong. And because everyone has that
Right.
moment of realizing that the song that they've been singing for 10 years has been totally.
Right. I used to think the Bee Gees' More Than a Woman was Banana Woman. So like the long time, Banana Woman, Banana Woman.
I still don't know.
And I was like, what do they say? What does that mean, Banana Woman, to me?
But what does more than a woman mean? Does that mean that you're
She's
kind
got
of
a
a
little
man?
extra.
or-
She's more. Yeah, she's woman plus.
Yeah.
SCXY.
More than a fupa. You should have saw that coming.
I know that should have saw that coming.
What is the
The fuck
No,
are
I'm
we
gonna.
talking about?
What is the Michael Jackson song? There's this one, and I still every time I hear it, I don't know what the fuck he's saying.
Which one?
Yeah, come on.
Any of them.
Billie Jean.
No,
Not
it
My
wasn't.
Lover.
It's one of those. Where it sounds like he's saying "sham on."
Oh yeah, it's Beat It. No, is it?
Beat It.
Okay, no, that's the one where he says that, and I don't. But there's another song of his.
Who's bad?
You guys don't know Michael. You know what
Yeah.
Michael Jackson's well. as I do,
My
so.
8-year-old knows Michael Jackson. I mean, me as an 8-year-old, but I don't remember now.
Oh, forget about
You
it.
know, actually, when I was in kindergarten, the first kindergarten I ever went to, my teacher, it was a Christian school in Grand Prairie, Texas. I was wearing a glittery Michael Jackson shirt, and she told me that Michael Jackson was a servant of the devil. And my mom pulled me out of school the next day.
Well, little did you
All
know
because
that
of
she was
Michael
right.
Jackson. She was right. Yeah. Yeah. You
Look
know,
at
if-
him now.
So did you
if
quit
you could-
listening to him?
No. I mean, my mom took me out of the school because she was like mad about it.
Oh, you got
Yeah.
the opposite of my dad, who found I had the Thriller vinyl, and he was reading like the lyrics in the inside, and he saw in Billie Jean that it said, it was the fact that it didn't even matter what it said 40 days and 40 nights, and he was like, that's biblical, that's sacrilege, and then he told, for that reason, he
that?
threw it in the trash, and
Wow.
then that was like I was in grade school, and I didn't listen to music again until I was in junior high, and then it was like strictly like just random stuff like old punk and goth shit.
Yeah.
That's why Thriller video had that disclaimer right at the beginning about the
It did?
not endorsing belief in the occult.
Wow.
Shit like
yeah,
that.
for parents like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so how does he explain that his face is melted now?
No,
Huh?
my mom
That's all that
did
fucking
not
devil
mind.
worship.
My mom did not mind what kind of music I listened
That
to.
was man what did that.
Actually, my second tape was Flashdance, the soundtrack,
Oh,
and it was
I'm
because
sorry.
I'd seen the movie. Which
Oh.
now, when I watched it later, like as a grown up with hormones, I was like, "Whoa, this is like has sex in it." But when I was a kid, I remembered like, "I love that movie about dancing. That's a good movie." And I used to listen to the soundtrack and clean my room because I was definitely homosexual when I was a kid. I don't know what happened, but then I liked girls. It was weird. But like
It's a little bit of an overshare,
as
Robert.
no, but as like a 6-year-old, I just
You're
really
making my
like to
fupa
like
shrivel.
listen. I just really like to listen to the Flashdance soundtrack and clean my room. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong
Right
with
there
that.
you.
Yeah. All right.
Not the only one.
Okay.
All right, guys. We just got to get these filthy secrets out. Keep them coming, Ryan. What's the shittiest album
Yeah.
in your collection?
What?
What's the shittiest album in your collection? What's the worst piece of music you own and listen to?
And love.
Or as a child, some ish that you don't want anyone to know about.
jeez.
Ryan, we dare you. We double dog dare you.
Come on, what is it?
I got to think about that.
All right, then you can speak.
I've got so many bad ones in my collection,
know.
I wouldn't even know where to start. Actually, most of them are gone now, but in my collection in the past, I've had Chicago records. So that's some pretty bad shit.
Like newer Chicago, like the other singer.
Oh, God, no, not before Peter Cetera.
Oh.
Before Peter Cetera took over.
Oh, I see.
And neutered the hard rock that was Chicago.
Because it was really packing a lot down there.
Oh, yeah. That was some
Those
hardcore shit.
horns.
Saturday, bow, in the park, bow. That was some hard rocking shit.
Yeah, man.
You know, when you're 10, that sounds cool.
Definitely.
I did wish it was the 4th of July. Those guys are right. Let's see. My mom gave me a John Denver record once. And this is before your guys' day, but back in the day when they had this stuff called vinyl, RCA Records at one point was experimenting with this kind of like bendable vinyl, so you could that was the big selling point. Like, hey, now your discs aren't gonna break. And this John Denver record that my mom gave me was so fucking bad. I mean, because it
had the Muppets on it.
Because it wasn't just Don Denver; it was like late John Denver.
Yeah.
So it's like post his hits. So I took the thing to see how far I could bend it, and it broke into like 50 pieces. And I felt bad because my mom gave it to me, so I just shoved all the pieces into the thing. And then she came in one day and asked if she could borrow it. It's like, oh no, Mom, don't pick up the no.
Here's feeling bad over stuff that Mom got you. One time, we were having this epic G.I. Joe battle in my friend's yard. We'd this was like a third grade or something, and we'd go into his dog house. They had this big ass dog, and we'd go in there and like trade toys. But one time we had this big thing going where we came up with a story for everything, and it ended. I convinced him that Baroness, who's like this evil wench from Cobra, who's like the terrorist organization, she had to be like punished for I don't know, she was doing something. And so like capital punishment. So I was like, dude, there's a hatchet over by the woodshed. We got to do this shit. So like at first we pulled her hair off. It was like rubber. And then like I convinced him to like hatchet the head, and then we put red marker on it. And then after we were done, we saw, dude, that was incredible, man. Like and I also convinced him to take his Cobra Rattler, which is like an A10 Warthog, but all done up in blue, and we tied it to a string. We were spinning around like a whirligig and letting it go. And then it would like crash into the ground. But then afterward, Jeff, you're waiting for there's no payoff on this.
I am waiting.
The payoff is that afterward he started to cry. Like he was like really crying because my mom bought me that. And he was like trying to put it back together. And it was so pathetic looking. And like it was all red on the stubs. And he was just like trying to hold it together and pretend it would fix itself.
Oh. That's sad. You're mean. You're mean, man.
I told you.
Terrible.
He's mean.
Mean little kid.
Shawn
Little boys.
what's the worst record in your collection?
Currently, the one that sticks out every time I'm like going through the collection is like a Richard Marx CD.
Oh man,
Ooh.
I don't know.
That's some bad shit.
I don't know why it's there. I'm pretty sure I bought it.
No.
I don't remember why.
Wow.
Yeah,
but you can't remember the song that
I
just
think it was
really...
Hazard. I remember Hazard.
I don't know.
Of course not. It's
No.
Richard Marx.
I don't listen to Richard Marx, man. I don't know.
But yeah, that's the one every time
I don't even.
through
What
it,
is
it's
Richard
like,
Marx?
It
sounds
it's
like puts me to sleep.
It's like
but
it's exactly that. Like
80s
really soft
singer.
VH1. Like
Yeah.
couldn't hurt a fly.
Did any of you ever own a Kenny G?
No.
My mom gave me a Kenny G CD when I was in like 7th grade.
Why?
I don't know.
Because she thought you liked jazz.
What about?
I think that she just thought that I would like it, and I listened to it. I didn't really get it.
That guy
But it
needs
was
to
weird
take
because
a
at
horn
the time
taken
I was
away
really-
from him and beat on the head with it.
At the time, I was really in my like Nirvana phase. So it's kind of like, thanks. And then I'd put it on and be like, what is this? I don't
Yeah, Kenny G
understand.
was
Here's
going to
the
be on the
grunge.
third Nirvana album if they hadn't broken up, or because Kurt Cobain killed himself.
That's
Did
why
you
he
know that?
killed
They
himself.
were going to use
actually.
a sax instead of vocals.
That would have actually been the most amazing album. I wish that something like that existed.
Dude, Ryan has got his iPod here with him, but he won't hand it over.
Hell no.
Like
let's
Japanese
give it to
soundtrack.
me. Give it to me.
It's
We're
all-
gonna
it's all
read every
Dragon
bit
Ball
of
music.
This Final Fantasy
I actually,
soundtrack.
you know what?
Yeah.
I'm very weird when it comes to music.
Uh-oh.
Like
Does that better not mean Final Fantasy soundtrack?
it does.
But we knew this about Ryan.
We did?
Sure we did.
Come on,
You
dude.
Look
all
at
do
him.
that, yeah.
Really?
I have. Well, I have.
Sean's been in denial all this time.
What do you
have-
think he listened to?
I won't tell him.
What do you got? What do you got?
Does he look like a Jay-Z fan?
I mean,
Look
like
at
the
him.
dumbest
Yeah,
thing,
totally.
other than a bunch of stupid video game music that's on my
Yeah.
MP3 player, is like some Eminem songs. He's pretty stupid.
What about...
I don't know.
I used to sit there with a tape recorder in front of my Sega Genesis recording things.
I did that too.
Are
Just
you
so you
fucking
know.
shitting
The
me?
Genesis music was terrible too.
Not shitting you.
Genesis has a terrible sound chip.
Did you
so, like,
I know,
listen
it's
to that
terrible.
tape? You
I
like-
would occasionally listen to that tape.
Where do you think you work, Shawn
You
Elliott?
got a cassette tape? A Genesis?
You're in a
I
room
cur-
full of nerds.
I still don't have it. But at the time, I was like, man, this Ghouls and Ghosts theme is so good.
yeah.
All I remember in my youth is, turn that shit down!
I used to do that with Sierra games.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like game music. I mean, some of it's really, really catchy. I think it was better, actually, when things were, like, so minimal that people had to worry about coming up with something you could listen to repetitiously.
Right.
And now people just do this kind of boring, like, film soundtrack stuff, you know? I liked it better when it was all...
For 3 hours.
Imagine that coming through your 13-inch bedroom television,
Yeah.
recorded onto like this 1950s tape recorder your grandmother
Wow.
gave you.
But don't you wish you had that tape now?
Oh my God, I wish. There's a lot I wish.
That could be
I
our
got-
theme music right
Let's
now.
try to think of the worst I had. Somehow I ended up with the Technotronic tape at one point. I don't remember
Pretty
who
bad.
gave me that. That's that pump up the jam.
jam.
Pump it up while your fupa is pumping.
Did it again.
Weren't they in
This is
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
This has
2?
turned into that shit where
That was Vanilla Ice.
you know when you do like
damn
a
it.
circle with your hand and you put it below your knee and you try to get your friends to like check it out and then you get to punch them in the arm a few times. It's like if you guys let me get away with saying that, I get to keep hitting you. Yo, dude, I just skinned my knee. Look, remember that? There was a version of that in that movie called Waiting. You ever see that? Don't bother if you haven't. I don't even know how it ended up in our Netflix queue. But
I don't know which one you're talking about, but did
but
not see it.
but the guys that work in the kitchen basically have a scam where it's like ball games, and if they make these different shapes and stuff with their ball sack, and if they get you to look at it when you come in, then they get to like punch you or you have to ride them around. So one of them, like there's different, there's like the
What are the possible shapes
Like
that you can
turtles?
make with
I
your
was just
ball
thinking
sack?
that. Isn't
like
there
a-
just kind of one?
there's
I
like
don't
a
know.
turtle, there's like the bat wing. Then they had one where like it looks like a piece of chicken, like they put it on the.
They show
on
it
the
in the
top.
movie?
Spend
showed
some
on the
time to
movie.
figure these things out.
It's like on the
Couldn't they be reading
like
books?
there's an epic one, and you have to put it on the meat counter.
Ryan is making the let's end this sign.
It's not over.
I agree with him.
What has happened to this podcast? I don't
What
just
about-
mean
what-
this week.
Is no one playing games at all?
Yeah,
We
didn't
are,
we-
but I'm the only one. Well, I'm opposing fronts all weekend, and no one
That
else
wasn't
played
my
it.
fault.
So I don't want to just lecture on it.
I played I played
We tried.
BioShock all weekend.
I
Why aren't you
played-
guys playing Broken Sword? Why aren't you playing Beyond the Sword?
I played Final Fantasy IV Advance this weekend.
That doesn't count.
Nerdy.
Pac-Man CE. I played some of that. Let's talk about it.
Dude, I'm the king of that game. I'm the
That was back
fucking
to half-
king of that game.
Pac-Man CE.
Yeah, like
Why are you king?
on all because I like all of my Ziff friends at least. I'm on the top of the scoreboard.
What's your
Are
score?
you
for
ahead
the
of Greg
challenge?
Ford?
I don't
5-minute?
remember. I am ahead of Greg Ford.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's Greg's score for the 5-minute challenge? One.
I don't know.
I don't remember. It's
He's
like
good, though.
290 something. I can't remember what my score was. All I remember is once I beat Greg, I was like, yay! But I was playing that
The native
compulsively for a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
I've
I got
actually
it.
been playing Space Giraffe, which I realize most people think is like the stupidest thing, but I really enjoy it, and it's totally ridiculous. I don't understand that game at all, but I think that's kind of the charm, like all the moo sounds. And if you guys don't know, it's Jeff.
It's Chip Minter.
Yeah,
Right,
Jeff
Jeff Minter.
Minter is like totally mind-bogglingly fucking crazy shooter featuring tons of livestock sounds and completely incomprehensible psychedelic visuals. But it's actually a lot of fun if you finally understand the concept. It takes like 10 minutes just to get it. But
Hopefully, we'll be able to talk. Is that on
I played
the PS on the Sony network, or is that
no, it's on live.
Live.
Yeah.
Well, because we know, I mean, one of these days we'll get to talk about, all the live arcade stuff on PC. And hopefully, I'm hoping that although I'm wondering, because it's Microsoft, that everything we've already paid for, we should immediately have access to on the PC version, right?
Well, that's one of our big questions.
I should be able to play the
for
damn thing.
Windows Live. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully we're working on getting answers for him. But wouldn't that be great? I mean, that would be
That would be
such
awesome.
a huge, that's the right thing to do. And that would be rad. All of a sudden I could play all those games that I already bought on PC now, or, vice versa. You just buy it once and then you get it for both.
Yeah, fat chance.
Why is it that we assume that? That's so, it kind of sucks
cynical?
that we do. It is cynical, but it's like, I think we honestly believe it. I do believe,
Me too.
now I'm thinking that no way. I'm thinking if I want to play it again, I'm going to have to download it again.
What
Microsoft,
financial
you know.
incentive would there be to give that to you for free?
Right. When they know that they can charge.
Well,
Well, it wouldn't
the
be for free if
financial
I already paid
incentive-
for it.
Not that we don't love
Well, right,
Microsoft.
No, I'm
Being their
just trying to.
official
I'm just trying to
magazine.
think like like someone who wants money.
And on PC, I don't think this will fly, and I hope it doesn't. But the whole shame bucks scenario where you can only get them in certain denominations, So it's like when
yeah.
I had 200 left and I wanted Pac-Man, but it was like 800 or something.
Yep.
And however it worked out, I had to get stuck with as many as I had. It's like I can't. The only way to get rid of that surplus is
buy
on
like a picture pack or something.
on some ridiculous bric-a-brac. Yeah, just you get a couple JPEGs for $3. That's a fucking steal, huh? That's great. So like, it better not be shame bucks. It better be, or you could just buy. It's like an exact 1-to-1 conversion ratio, and you can get just the amount you want. Like you can buy them by the individual point if you want. If something's 15 points, then you can just get, because that stuff's annoying.
I echo Fat Chance again.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean,
probably
if
stick
they
with the
really
same.
want to make games for Windows like something that people are into, then I would.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I thought you were telling a joke.
Then I don't see why they wouldn't want. I mean, it seems like they're making quite a bit of cash off Xbox Live Arcade. Why not? Why not?
They
just
are.
Try to.
But I mean, they're like Steam and the Steam community and everything that they're doing there. They're just going to whip their fucking ass if that's what they come out and do, and they don't acknowledge that. Hey, these guys are bending over backwards to give you all the same functionality and more, and to let you get one thing and that's it. And when you buy something and it's multiple components come in it, you can give the ones you don't use away to friends. You can let people play. You send away codes if you bought a game so they can play it with you on certain weekends. I mean, all these things. I mean, if you just sit there and think, what's the way I can just wring every last penny out of our audience when you've got them doing it? It's just not going to fly. It sucks. But
I'm thinking that maybe this is a theory I've had to myself for the last few days. Microsoft has been very, very quiet about all this stuff lately.
Yep.
We've actually, pinged them directly about doing a story on Live Arcade, the Windows Live Arcade. And just in general, since E3, they've been extremely quiet and post the Steam community launching. And I just wonder if they're like in a sort of a regrouping phase on this whole thing. Like, I just got to wonder if like all the bad
they
PR.
have to be.
Right, you would hope they would be. And it makes me wonder if they're going to come out with some
new announcements.
Yeah.
Because obviously
interesting.
what they were trying didn't go as planned. I think that's got to be obvious to them.
And we still know that there's a break. Like, even though, Gears of War, of course, is a Microsoft first-party game, is going to use Live, UE3 is not. And, I mean, that's really telling there. When the company, when the developer, the same developer for both, and when they're also announcing that they're shipping all the materials to include, Games for Windows Live support with UE3, their engine, with Unreal Engine 3, but then not to confuse it with Unreal Tournament 3, which is coming out and doesn't use it. And like the sense I got, not to directly quote anyone, when I asked, will this support Games for Windows Live as well, it was more, let's just say, haha, was the equivalent of the response.
Yeah.
And that's not the kind of thing you're expecting to hear, So
I don't think it's too late. I don't think they've blown
it's not
it
at all.
completely.
No way. And again, we brought this up before. When Steam came out, it was, universally regarded as a ridiculous train wreck. It was a total.
They turned that around.
They turned it around now to the point where we're saying the things we are.
I mean, remember going back to that first E3 when Bill Gates was up there on stage showing it. The whole audience was cheering him on. This was an audience full of fairly cynical people, and that demo that he gave of your PC and the 360 and your phone and whatever else all working together was a really cool concept. I mean, the execution's been for shit so far, but the concept is definitely one that makes sense.
But I think it is an idea that plays more to the Xbox crowd than to the PC gamer crowd, who's always going to feel like they're having some amount of freedom taken away in the system.
Yeah.
I think the ideas appeal to the Xbox people who are already in this totally closed system with a bunch of ridiculous shit happening anyway.
Yeah.
And in the PC environment, too, there are tons and tons of casual games available for free and for a reduced cost. And, I mean, every month, our freeloader column, it helps point people to some of those things. And each year we'll do 101 free games thing. I mean, so, again, it's like...
And that's always going to be the stuff that's going to be what's cool about PC anyway. It's never going to be that, man, what makes PC gaming great? Games for Windows, live. Like that. It's always going to be like the cool little studios doing, fun games that you just hear about from your friends that you download for free or $5.
And it's tough for them to get involved with something like that because at first you're like, oh, no brainer, put up a community section where people can submit games and stuff. But they don't want that in the same way that YouTube ends up having to police everything that goes up and make sure it's not copyrighted material or offensive or, against the law or something. They don't want to put games that people can download that just like, are viruses or that just run like crap and they mess up the works and stuff, so there has to be quality control. But I mean, it would be good to see more. It's like have they announced yet, like, hey, here's some games made just by some kids in their pajamas in their house, like.
The only thing I've seen is that Aegeus Wing game that they put on Xbox Live. That it was an internal, like a bunch of interns had made this shooter using what is their home gaming kit
XNA.
XNA, yeah. And it was just this little game that these interns had put together, and they gave it away for free on Xbox Live. That was cool.
Yeah.
I'd love to see way more of that.
More of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, way less of like the $5 Joust port.
Yeah, some of the stuff is great, no doubt. I mean, Pac-Man was worth the money,
Oh,
it
yeah.
totally was.
Don't force you to pay more than you want don't. Like, I wanted Pac-Man, and that's all I wanted. I didn't want some JPEGs, It's like, so let me get Pac-Man, charge me that as much as it costs. Like Steam, like what's the big fucking deal? You want a game? You just click it and you buy it.
Yeah.
They don't try to pretend, no, it's $1. It's like dollars, but it's more fun. It's like, come on, dude. This isn't fucking Itchy and Scratchy Land. And I'm not a baby. Like,
Yeah.
Is it $8.99? Is it $9.99?
Well, I think early on they acted like there was going to be ways to get, some of those bucks for free. Like if you're, if you've exhausted all the content in a game, then you get a, hey, doofus,
But
here's your money.
That doesn't happen, though.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. And, it is way better on the PlayStation Network to just be able to.
Oh,
I mean,
it
PlayStation
actually has
Network-
real money
Yeah, it's not even.
denominations.
It doesn't even ask you to like buy points. It's just like, do you want to pay $5 for this? I'm like,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah. I haven't
It's
even. I
easy.
still have to hook up to the network on
Well, you have to
that.
fill
There's
up,
some
what is
good
it? It's called
games
a
on
wallet.
that.
You have to fill up the wallet first, don't you?
Oh, I guess, but it's like
But at
if
least
you
it's
just
like
fill
money.
it. You fill it with the money, with the exact amount that you're
Yeah.
spending on the thing.
It's not some
But-
nebulous, like, fill it with 8 colored balls.
I don't even
Yeah.
feel like it psychologically works in their favor. Whatever they're thinking, like, oh, well, maybe they'll think points doesn't mean. Like when I see Pac-Man
like
costs
going
like
to Canada
800
or
points,
something,
it's like
and going
that
shopping.
seems like a lot.
Yeah.
Going shopping in another country,
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It's stupid.
I got a wallet full of this paper.
It's
I
money.
got an account full of
It's
these
just
Shane
money.
books.
Yeah.
All right, I just took my shoe off.
So that
I
means
think
I'm
I
gone.
think that's a symbol.
How long was this one?
Hour and a half almost.
It's not long.
Minus the 45 we're going to cut out.
We're not cutting that out.
Was there any other gaming?
I was just
topics?
playing. BioShock inspired me to play Half-Life 2 again. That's
Oh,
what I was
good.
playing all weekend.
Fine game.
Started over. Got
Fun.
all the way to Nova Prospect.
You might as well wait at this point because it seems pretty imminent that they're going to announce that you can download the version with the high dynamic range
Yeah.
lighting.
Yeah, way to go,
the
Sean.
character
So
models.
stupid.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking that too. I was like, maybe I should wait for the prettier version, but I wanted to play it this weekend. I had the itch.
I don't even know
play
what's gonna.
opposing fronts with me.
I know I should.
You know what we didn't bring up? I'll bring it up. The news that came out this week that Ubisoft put a couple of their games up on File Planet for free download.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes,
With in-game advertising. So now you can go to fileplanet.com. Not that I want to advertise for them, especially with their fucking 13-hour downloads. But they're giving away Far Cry 1 and Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. Two really good games.
Yeah, good recent games.
Total
too.
free download. You just have to deal with in-game
Now
advertising.
what is
Are
it?
they
Like
already at
interstitials
the
between
game
levels?
worlds?
Say what?
Is it interstitials between the levels? I think.
This I do not know.
Desinex diaper ointment on the back of like the Persian palace.
I haven't confirmed it, but what I heard is in between levels, like when it loads, you'll get an ad instead of a loading screen or something like that. It's not like you're walking around and you see billboards for that shit.
Oh, okay.
That's what I heard,
It would
but
be
I
really
might be
cool if
wrong.
they
Prince is
completely
climbing
changed
on-
it though.
That'd be
So
awesome.
that Prince of Persia was really about like saving a Toyota Yaris. That was like on the verge.
We
of
didn't
being
tell you what the
crushed.
advertising was going to be, sucker.
Oh wait, there's a Toyota Yaris.
What?
Is that what? Because there's an ad on our podcast that
The
like
Yaris?
all I understood it was Yaris versus Yaris.
Yeah, no,
That's just a car.
they have ads all over San Francisco because it's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be the thing to buy if you're young and you can't afford a Pius or a Prius.
A pie.
Rather, so it's like like a young, hip kind of gas mileage car, but
Yeah, okay.
it sounds like a pirate word, like
Yars.
Yeah,
What's that one sign that
That's
looks
how
like
they
a
should market
lunchbox?
it.
yeah.
Huh?
What's that one model of Scion that looks like a lunchbox?
Oh,
Oh.
fuck, it's something X. All that all the names are so.
Those boxy ones.
I actually like that the box.
Whenever I see that,
I wish that it was even more of a box.
It's
Like
a
I wish
Sweet
it had
Pickles
dangerous
box.
edges. Like
What, like square wheels?
Yeah. I would kill for something that had no details at all.
this shit looks like it was designed in auto assault.
I like that though, because I don't know, cars got too curvy for me. Like the Taurisification of car design, where everything like turned into a pregnant woman.
Well, they got curvy again rather than
even
because
though
there was a big period in the 80s when everything went all rectilinear. But
I want a pure.
No, well, think
parabola.
but
Easy
even
top
back in the
ride.
50s when things were curvy, they had edges too. You know, fins and.
So you're
Yeah,
that
just-
exact guy. I'm always in the car with my wife going, who would want one of those? They're so ugly.
Wouldn't
Robert
actually,
Ashley.
I wouldn't
So he
actually
wants,
buy one. I wouldn't.
he likes the.
I like them, but I
PT
wouldn't buy
Loser.
one. No. Ugh.
Yeah, that one's curvy.
That's-
They got the
disgusting,
mini PT
man.
Cruiser. It looks like that shit like derailed from like a go-kart track at Disneyland.
Ryan again.
Ryan again.
Let's
20
stop
minutes
this.
later, still giving the let's wrap this shit up.
I gotta go do shit.
This is like when you have a slumber party or something, and like you're waiting. You,
Yeah.
like, turn the lights off. It's like, all right, let's just go to bed. And
Right,
you
but
just
it's not 3 in the morning.
You got
have no
something else to
excuse.
say.
And you have that, and you have that conversation. So, have any of you guys ever had sex? And then all the
Have
guys
you-
in the room go, "Yeah."
Should
of
we have that
course."
conversation?
We just
We've already established
With
that
Master
because it doesn't count with whores.
Oh,
that I'm
that's
in
right.
need.
no, and Master Chief too.
Yeah.
There you go. You brought it full circle.
There we go. We have filled
with
up
Master
our allotment
Chief.
of
So
then we're
time.
done. It's
We're
not full
done.
circle.
Huh?
Fupa.
Uh,
God damn it.